on to ensure the safety and health of our employees as well as our customers' personnel remained as our utmost priority. The protocol we put in place has definitely paid off, as we have only had a few COVID-19 cases among all the 1,000 temporary employees helping to grade the peanut crop. He said, I applaud our entire team at Federal State Inspection Service to making this season a success by dedicating tireless hours during these difficult times. They've inspected the peanuts, and they're moving into the warehouse at this point.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 77 to 81. Mainly clear tonight, low 67 to 72. Sun and some clouds Thursday, high 81 to 85. Then turning cloudy Friday with a thunderstorm in the afternoon and a high of 81 to 85. Looking to the weekend, showery weather Saturday afternoon through late Saturday night, high 78 to 80. Thunderstorms on Sunday. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Just Shipped is expanding to its first retail location at the new Boulevard Market located on the corner of Bonnie Heath and 36th Avenue. Just Shipped will still offer the same all-inclusive services of packing and shipping your items. Don't want to get out of your car? You don't have to, because Just Shipped is offering curbside service. That's right, curbside service starting Saturday, November 7th. Go to justship.net for more information. Take the guesswork out of shipping with Just Shipped.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. I'm coming to you live from the palatial studios of WOCA Radio, just outside the food court entrance to the Paddock Mall in the Brick City Beautiful, Ocala, Florida. It's a beautiful county, Marion County we live in too, and one of the reasons that we have such a nice county are people like the lady who is sitting in the studio with me now, Allison B. Campbell, ABC. If you read her campaign signs, although you had to read her campaign signs quick because they were disappearing at alarming rates. But Allison,
according to some, yes, that
Allison Campbell in studio, victorious for seat 1. District 1 in the Marion County School Board. By the way, congratulations to Lori Conrad. She did a great job
yes, she did.
Getting to this point. Lori, a great teacher, Golden Apple winner.
Yes.
25 years experience. She is a benefit to Marion County as well. So for all you naysayers who had all the negative stuff that Allison, by the way, to your congratulations, did get involved with, to all you negative Nancys, Lori Conrad's still a pretty amazing person when it comes to education in Marion County. You don't get a golden apple by being a bad person.
Absolutely. No, she's a terrific teacher, and she actually teaches at my son's school, so I have been able to be friends with parents that have had her as a teacher and all of that with their children, and she's an amazing teacher, and she's a benefit to Marion County, absolutely.
Certainly is. So are you, though, Allison Campbell, with all the work you've done. I first met you through my former boss, Buddy Martin, with the Voice of Ocala when he brought on this woman from ARC to talk about minor league baseball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To talk about minor league baseball. And we were talking probably at that time about the New York Yankees coming to town. And
we'll just stop there.
We'll just stop there. So, yes, no, absolutely. Sports broadcasting was a part of my history, and that's kind of how I started at the collegiate level. And I had a sports broadcasting show for a couple of years in Southeast Tennessee and North Georgia. And then,
we're not going to talk about the University of Tennessee Chattanooga Moccasins. We're not. Oh, wait, yeah, we can, because every time I played them in the playoffs at Georgia Southern, we beat them. So yeah, I can talk about it.
Okay. Well, anyway, we didn't talk necessarily regional sports on my sports show. It was all local sports there in the community where I grew up. Which, interestingly enough, I know we're going to talk a little bit school board, but I wanted to say this because I believe it was quoted in the paper today. So in this election, I received a little more than 93,000 votes for Marion County. That's actually more than the population of the county where I grew up in the state of Tennessee.
Yes.
When I grew up, there were about 85,000 people in my whole county, and I received 93,000 plus votes in the election yesterday.
I know where you grew up because I graduated from a high school in Atlanta, and we used to, for fun, would go to Chattanooga to go to the Eastgate Mall in Chattanooga. Not that you would know. Oh no, you know exactly where Eastgate Mall is.
Eastgate Mall is.
Some of my fraternity brothers and best friends from college live in Ringgold and Lafayette, Georgia, which is
right.
You're closer to there than you are to Chattanooga.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So, how did you? First off, relocate to Marion County, and then what made you want to get involved in politics in Marion County?
So when I actually, ironically, and this is the most ironic thing ever, my master's degree is in political communication. Though I've never given a donation to a political campaign, nor I had never run a political campaign or even worked on one before. So political communication was my master's degree, and following getting that degree in 2001, I did an internship in sports information at Old Dominion University, and I really thought sports was where I was going to go, and thought that was going to be the career path that I was going to take in communication and sports, some way or fashion. And so ultimately, I was sending resumes, hundreds of resumes, as you do as a recent graduate.
You were going to be the next Erin Andrews, or you were going to be her before she was her.
Well, sports broadcasting, I thought about it for a little while, but that, at those lower levels, they make peanuts, and so.
What are you saying? Local radio doesn't pay the radio show host a bunch of money?
Well, I don't know what you make.
She's right.
I know what. At least back then, I was like, well, maybe I need to look at something else. Nevertheless, sent out hundreds of resumes and wound up sending one here to Ocala to a family friend who I have known since I was young in Tennessee. And he had started an organization here called Honoring the Father. And his son, Jonathan Johnson, was a baseball player at Forest High School, went on to Florida State, became a first-round draft pick for the Texas Rangers, and they had started a group called Honoring the Father Ministries, actually taking baseball to Latin American countries. And I said, we'll work for food, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I came here and worked for their nonprofit for a year and a half or so, and enjoyed Marion County enough. I knew 3 people when I moved to town, the Johnsons and another individual. And I'm like, so I didn't know anyone. I came here fresh out of school and fell in love with Marion County, fell in love with Ocala, and just realized this is a place I'd like to put some roots down. Found a job that would pay me. The next job I had was actually for Ocala Regional in West Marion. They call it Ocala Health now. We didn't then. But I was hired 3 months after West Marion Community Hospital was built. And so I was, if you haven't been here very long, I was actually trying to get people to go there.
Right.
And trying to get doctors to go there and practice medicine at West Marion. I mean, if you haven't been here very long, that's going to be a very strange thing for you to hear, but that was really my first official job in Marion County to help establish roots here.
I think people don't understand, and I understand it because of where I'm from. You understand it because of where you're from. My old roommate, Chad Pilkington, understands it because of where he's from, Manchester, Georgia. There is a feel about Ocala.
There is.
That while it's progressive, while there's plenty of opportunities, there's plenty of great big business here, the economy's booming off, there's something about, and it starts with a downtown square. There's something about Ocala, unlike most of the rest of Florida.
True.
That reminds me of Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina.
Sure does.
It's the homey, everybody knows everybody, even though you don't know everybody in Ocala, you feel like you know everybody in Ocala.
Right.
It's a great place. When you get here, you say, this is a place I want to raise kids.
Right.
This is a place I'd like to bring a family. And you get that in small town Tennessee. You get that in small town Georgia,
right.
Small town North Carolina. But what you don't get in those places is you don't get the progressive attitude that Ocala also displays. So for me, I moved here and I said, wow, I got South Georgia with potential.
Right. Right.
And by the way, I love Statesboro, Georgia. It is my favorite place. Irk Russell said it best. If you eat your vegetables, you listen to your mom and daddy, and you believe in God, when you die, you go to Statesboro, Georgia. Okay? I believe that.
That's funny.
But Statesboro, Georgia doesn't have the potential Ocala has. It wants to stay a bedroom, small, little, non-progressive society. And that's okay.
Right.
But Ocala has the attributes of small town with the progressiveness of a big town.
Right.
And it reminds you of home, because I want to be reminded of home. I don't necessarily want to go back and live at home.
Right. Agreed. And you know, I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee, small town Tennessee. And
Cleveland is small, folks.
Cleveland is
SM all.
It is. It's small. And you really do know everyone, especially my alma mater, Lee University. Most everyone either has worked there, gone there, has a child there, or my mom worked there. My parents met there. And so it really is, it's a college town without being a college town. I mean, it's small town, regardless. I came to Ocala for a vision. You know, I came to Ocala with hope and came here knowing 3 people. And now I'm a school board member and was elected
Why
by
would you
more
get in
people.
politics?
Well, I was elected by more people than are in my small town. So that's still just blowing my mind here less than 24 hours later. I got involved because I'm a mom first. And I was telling my kids actually on the way to school this morning, I said, they're in my 2 oldest are in middle school right now. And I said, you know, ultimately I did this for you guys. Like, I know that there are changes that need to be made for kids your age, for kids younger than you. I've seen changes that are possible, and I've heard changes that are needed. And I wanted to get involved while my kids could benefit from some of those changes. So whatever that might be and whatever that looks like over the next 4 years, ultimately I got involved because I'm a mom. And I think it's important through this pandemic. I talked about this previously when we've talked, that I saw 17 different teachers administer online education. I mean, I've been able to witness that as a professor at the collegiate level. So I had seen it from all different perspectives. And then being a mom on that board, that's missing right now. I mean, Reverend Cummings' son is in high school, but I have an elementary school son. I mean, I know the challenges that parents are dealing with right now, navigating the pandemic and the masks, and do you have yours on today, and are you wearing your lanyard, and all of those kinds of things that they're having to do. So I wanted to get involved because I knew that there were changes that were needed, and I felt like I had a vision to make those changes. Well,
congratulations on your victory. I will say this openly. I voted for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I actually, the last time I saw you, we did radio together, and then I saw you about a week and a half after that. You were sign waving.
I was.
At 25th and the Boulevard. And I come up from back down below.
Entire Kingdom parking lot.
And I come up and I go, Allison, and you were like, who? Oh, it's Tom.
I know. I almost gave you a sign to start waving. You're like, no.
No, can't. But it's a process that you and your opponent, Lori Conrad, stayed above the fray in. Neither one of you got visceral with the other one. Neither one of you let the people who were on the periphery, who were saying mean, ugly, nasty things about one of you.
Right.
Neither one of you.
There was a lot of mudslinging. It wasn't coming from the candidates.
Neither one of you bought into that. Neither one of you listened to that. Neither one of you both, and a credit to you and to Lori Conrad, when I had you in here, my first interview back on the radio,
right,
was Lori Conrad and Allison Campbell.
It was.
Because I thought it was that important, because the seat Nancy Stacey was giving up, thank you, that's Tom Schmitz saying that,
November 17th becomes official.
Was very important, and you had 2 perspectives. Now, mind you, Nancy Stacey and Kelly King are both teachers.
Or Nancy Thrower.
Nancy Thrower,
right.
Nancy Thrower and Kelly King are both teachers. Mm-hmm. A third teacher on the board, in my opinion, didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, it's the biggest budget in Marion County.
It is.
What are you looking, what are some of the things you're going to focus on when talking about, because it's the biggest budget in Marion County, and some people say there's still not enough money.
There's a lot to delve into when it comes to budget. And so I want to tread carefully, and I want to tread, I'll just use the word carefully. because I don't want to come in like a bull in a china shop. I mean, I know there are a lot of issues, and I know there are areas where we need to look at whole departments and ask their purpose. The budget, the unfortunate thing for me is I'm inheriting the budget that's already been approved.
100%.
So I'm going to have to navigate what that looks like, as opposed to coming in as the newly elected school board member, being able to actually have a decision in the process of this school year's budget. However, as we navigate what that looks like in the coming year, in the 2021-2022 school year, I'm going to have a lot of questions that I want answered throughout this process, beginning in January, February, to really start saying, okay, tell me this purpose. Tell me why we have this. Tell me why we have these roles. Tell me why we have these administrative positions over these other positions, or why we even have these separations. And some of that, I honestly believe, can go away. But again, it's going to take at least 3 of us on the board to agree in some of those areas. But one of those is in the salary and benefits areas, because I know through the process of the campaign that I've learned there are people that are on benefits that may not actually be on the payroll. So I know that doesn't make as much sense, but if you're a contract employee or you work through somehow the school districts, you might actually get benefits. Well, why? I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate your service, but why would taxpayers pay for your benefits if you're not actually an employee of the school system? It's just a question.
But it's a very good question, I think, that one needs to be answered. Also, you're going to have to face the announcement that, that there's the new teacher. Well, a new teacher coming in is going to make $44,500. It's below the $47,750 the governor mandated, right. But still $44,500 for a starting teacher. What do you tell the teacher that's been there 10 years that's making $46,000? That's only making $1,500 more a year. They're going to be like, what is going on?
And that's in part why the teachers union in the school district right now are in a stalemate.
An impasse.
They are. Yeah. They haven't been able to negotiate and navigate what that looks like. I actually can understand both sides in this scenario right now without having to actually see. I mean, I haven't been privy to all of the negotiations. I can see why the district is a little hesitant, because while the governor has mandated it, he's sent down money for this year, and it will be one of those unfunded mandates from here on out.
Certain.
And being in the nonprofit world and formerly working with the intellectually developmentally disabled, I know about unfunded mandates, trust me. So I can see that perspective. But obviously, the teachers and the teachers union are saying, are you kidding? Do you know how much? I mean, we've become janitors this year.
What would that do to a teacher's morale? That now all of a sudden, I've got 12 years of experience.
Yes.
And Johnny come lately, who's never been in a classroom, and I said this yesterday, if you don't run it, I taught for 5 years.
Right.
I was a teacher. My first year of high school teaching U.S. history, I was gung-ho. They had trained me at Georgia Southern. I was ready to go. I went to Avery County High School in North Carolina. I was ready to go. I knew what I was doing. 45 minutes into my first day, I go, what the hell is going on? I had no idea what was happening. The classroom was not anything they had trained me for in college.
Sure.
And it's like I reckon it to, and you'll help me with his name because I'm escaping it, the quarterback from Oklahoma 10 years ago, Sam something, that got $50 million and had never played a down in the NFL.
Oh, my goodness, I can see it.
He's the reason why there's now salary caps on what the first round pick makes all the way down, because offensive guards that were making $1.5 million a year were like, this moron's never played a down in the NFL, and he's going to make more in 1 year than I make in my entire career. And that's what teachers are looking at now.
Right.
Teachers are like, I've been doing this 12 years, and you're going to tell me this person who's never been in the classroom comes in making $1,500 less than I make right now?
Right. So in all honesty, I mean, I'm not going to say that the governor got it wrong. I'm not going to say that. I think that the priorities were a little bit mixed up. I understand why you need to have higher starting teacher salaries. I do understand that. I mean, we're needing to recruit people.
You don't want teachers to leave Florida.
No, we don't want teachers. And we need to be growing our own. We need to do a better job of actually telling students that are in high school right now, teaching is a profession you should consider. I mean, it's definitely takes a servant heart. It definitely
100%.
takes, I mean, it is a calling, honestly. And there are personality types that totally fit that, and that's a wonderful opportunity for people. I mean, even personality types that don't go into teaching, but regardless, I'm not going to say he got it wrong. I do think that there needs to be a little more global perspective on it, though. I think that starting teachers may not necessarily even want to have money going straight into their retirement. They might prefer having their student loans paid off first.
100%.
So, but right now, that's not even an option. So I'm excited about so many opportunities to get in and talk, even with the DOE, even with Marion County, in my opinion, in the recent past, has not had that much say in what actually happens in Tallahassee from a school board perspective. Maybe they have, and it's not been talked about as much. But I feel like, why isn't our voice being heard? Why can't we bring new ideas to Tallahassee and try and get some of those implemented? And that's just one of a myriad of things that have come to my mind that I think would be actually more beneficial than raising a salary. Let's help them with their tuition payoffs and with their tuition deferment and pay off their student loans. And that helps put money in their pocket just as easily.
I chose to teach in North Carolina. Graduated from South Georgia, Georgia Southern University. I tell people I'm from South Georgia. They go, what part? I go, Jacksonville. Okay. I was born at St. Luke's Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida. Grew up in Callahan, Florida, which is north of Jacksonville.
Right.
West of Georgia, by the way. I mean, east of Georgia.
Right.
You travel west to get to Georgia from Callahan.
Sure.
But I grew up there, and I would have loved to have come back to West Nassau High School, go Warriors, and teach at West Nassau High School. There wasn't no money in it.
Right.
There was no. North Carolina did a better job.
Sure.
If West Nassau had offered me, and at the time I think my starting salary was $31,000. If West Nassau had offered me $25,000, but they'd have paid my student loans, I'd be probably in my 21st year at West Nassau High School in Callahan, Florida. You wouldn't have me on the radio.
Sure.
That's, to me, I'm 54 years old. I pay $297 a month in student loans. Do you know when my student loan will be paid off? And now I've been paying, now don't get me wrong, I went to graduate school.
Sure.
So I got a bigger student loan than a lot of people. You know when my loan's paid off? If I live to be 94, I'll pay it off.
Wow.
That's a problem.
I'm speechless. That's
a problem.
That is a problem. It absolutely is.
And that's only if I keep paying the $297, which is the minimum.
Sure.
I could pay, if I get better income and all, I could pay more.
Sure.
But at the minimum right now, I'll pay it off in 40 years. And I've been paying on it since I was 30 years old. So it will take me 64 years to pay off my student loans.
So wouldn't it be a benefit to these students potentially coming into the teaching profession
100%.
Let's, instead of taking your money out of your paycheck for this, let's do this instead. Let's offer this as an incentive to help pay off your student loans instead.
100%. And by the way, use that as a recruitment tool.
Absolutely. It's on my radar. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I think that's one of the most, how are we going to recruit teachers to come to Florida?
You and I have talked about this when you were with the different nonprofits you were with. We said the problem in Ocala is keeping Ocala's talent in Ocala. There are great men and women that leave and go to Florida State, and they go to Florida, and they go to UNF, and they go to FGCU, and they go to FAU, FIU, Central Florida, Georgia Southern. They go all around these areas, and they get their teaching degree. Not a lot of them come back to Ocala to teach.
No, they don't.
And we're letting Ocala's talent get out of Ocala.
Right. And we need to fix that. So there is a teaching academy at Vanguard High School.
Yes.
The only difference with that career technical program of sorts that we have is all of the rest of the trades that we have within schools, in the different schools. Students can basically get a certificate and get a job right out of school, or 1 or 2 years have post-secondary and have their job. With teaching, obviously, you do have to have a 4-year degree, and you are going to. However, I think we need to do a better job of getting kids into that interest, and maybe even offering some kind of scholarship incentive that will help pay a scholarship for a future teacher if you come back and work with us for the first 3 years.
Certainly.
So there are just ways that I think we can get a little bit more creative in how we're recruiting and retaining our own.
I mean, I was a weirdo. I knew at 8 years old, when I made my 5-year-old sister sit in a chair at the table at the dining room and do math problems, that I wanted to be a teacher. I knew. And somebody goes, well, Tom, if you knew that at so young, why aren't you a teacher? Well, I didn't get along with mamas and daddies. Okay. I loved my kids. I loved administrators. I didn't like mamas and daddies that made excuses for why their kids didn't do curriculum work. And Allison, you know me. After a while, it's probably hard for me to hold my tongue. So my principal came to me and go, are you sure this is the job you're cut out for? And it's a disservice. My personality, or my lack of control of my personality sometimes, actually is a disservice to students who, if you go ask, and I had a bunch of my students, former students who are now in their 30s, 20s, and 30s, always talk about how much fun they had Mr. Schmitz's history class, because I didn't teach out of the book.
Sure.
I would come dressed up as Ben Franklin and talk about Ben Franklin.
There you go.
I would come dressed in as Frederick Douglass. Yeah, in blackface. Sue me. I would come in because Frederick Douglass was a great man that they needed to understand.
Right.
So you need teachers like that.
Absolutely. So it's interesting that you mentioned that because, and this is not talking about teaching, but yesterday with the election, my kids were super excited and they thought they were just going to skip school yesterday.
Negative.
And I'm like, boys, your mom ran on attendance. and I understand how important it is, and parents need to understand how important it is to have their kids in school. However, we did check them out two of them out a little bit early. My middle schooler, the class he missed yesterday was civics. That's his last class of the day.
Well,
you know why he
good.
missed it? Because he was getting a real life civics lesson
exactly.
out holding up a campaign sign in an election process. And so he got the full civics lesson yesterday as we were watching election results come through, and we were learning, talking about the Electoral College, all of that last night. So while I value attendance, I also understood that yesterday was a monumental opportunity for my family, and they needed to be a part of the process.
Allison B. Campbell, your new school board elect for District 1. Thanks for coming in, Allison, and thanks for just being a benefit and a great human being for Marion County. And I hope to have you on a lot more times. Sometimes, though, I'll beat you up because it won't be as nice as today.
That's okay. I haven't done anything yet.
We'll be right back. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville,